All right. Actually, Jenny, I would love to hear a little bit about your family and where you're from.
Well, that is very sweet of you to ask, Candace. I grew up in this part of the world and a small town, and my dad was actually a heating and cooling contractor. So I grew up learning about HVAC at a young age. Right now, I am happily enjoying my family time with my husband and two boys, ages 12 and 9, and our dog Meadow. We do a lot of stuff together outside, and yeah, definitely my favorite part of my day is being with my family.
Oh, yeah. Except for now during this pandemic when that is not your favorite part of the day. That is your entire day.
Yeah, the online school hasn't started for my kids yet, so ask me in about a week and I might have
In
a
about a
different
week.
opinion.
Wow, you are a true educator through and through. I mean, that's what parenting is about anyway. It's 24/7 being an instructor. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We are here with Jenny Brinker, who is the instructor for the energy management um, program at the Northeast of Wisconsin Technical College. How are you doing, Jenny?
I'm doing really well, Candace. It's nice to meet with you. I've been doing a lot of Zoom meetings lately, so it's nice to
Yes,
see you
oh,
today.
definitely. That is through and through. I feel that eventually my Zoom meetings will be scheduled for 11 p.m. That's how packed out my schedule is.
I
I got
understand.
to start saying no. Jenny, I'm so happy that you're here and you're available with your tight schedule. So we're going to get started. I'd
Okay.
love to just start off and know what was your journey like to becoming the instructor at this technical college?
Yes. Well, it's been a fun journey. I started off graduating with a passion to do something for the environment. And after doing a 4-year degree, I ended up teaching high school actually in Green Bay, Wisconsin for a couple of years. And at that time, I taught curriculum that dealt with our energy resources. And it was really motivating for me to do something about how we use energy, and I ended up using that motivation to find a program to study more about it and perhaps teach more about it. So I ended up attending UW-Madison and their land resources and energy analysis and policy program. So I got my master's degree. And right out of that, through some connections I made through college, I started in an energy consulting career. And I did that happily and have many friends from that career of over 10 years. And I also ended up doing work with a utility company for about a year. So over that time, I've done hundreds of energy audits, helping people save energy, pay attention to how they use energy. And it's really been rewarding. And most of my education has come from, like I tell my students, real world experience, dealing with customers, getting your hands on energy saving equipment, learning from the pros over that time.
That is so exciting that, I mean, I feel your passion. I see that through your story. It's wonderful that you got involved in so many things involving energy. And for those of us who are listening, we're not really sure about, what does energy mean or energy management? Could you define energy management for us?
Sure. I think of energy management as just regularly paying attention to how an enterprise uses energy. So most of my career has been focused on working with businesses. So helping them save energy, pay attention to how they use it, while also, of course, keeping their business functioning and their occupants comfortable is key. Today, it's been interesting through the last decade. We've really been helping people not only pay attention to how they use their existing equipment, but now we're helping folks transition to using renewable energy resources and decreasing their carbon footprint. So putting my passion to work and my original motivation for going into this career has been really rewarding. So overall, the ability to help businesses achieve net zero energy for their building is where we're headed with energy management today.
And that sounds like something that if a student is hearing for the first time what this is defined as and they're getting to know you and they see the passion. I mean, if I was in the career I'm in, I'm like, wow, this sounds really interesting. I would want to, you know, get involved and see what else would I learn in this program? And you mentioned, decreasing your carbon footprint. What other items, what other topics and fields would students learn in joining this energy management program?
Well, it's a 2-year degree program, and of course, we want to educate our students on first identifying where energy is being used. So, breaking down utility data into where that utility data is pulling from. Is it mostly the heating and cooling of the building, the lighting? So, our students take classes that are specific to those mechanics of the building, and then they also take building energy modeling classes and accounting. And we've also changed our curriculum to teach more about the electromechanical and automation controls that are used in the building. Because as you know, I mean, we control things with our phone, with apps. That also applies to businesses, and they can control how their buildings consume energy easily with those devices. So networked controls and building automation is definitely something that our students have been learning more about over this time.
Sounds so exciting. I know your students, when they're just so receptive to it, they have to be because, again, your energy is just so wonderful.
Thanks.
And I'm wondering, I think about the students, I think about this time and the importance of this STEM field. How has it been adapting towards, this pandemic? What type of learning modalities have you tried and what has been most effective?
Okay. Well, it was interesting in spring when we were told we have to teach from home for the last few weeks of class. Our students were involved with an energy audit where we were working with a local high school. The really cool thing is, the high school, everyone had to adapt, and they were able to mail us our data loggers that we had set up a few weeks earlier. So our students were still able to analyze the data and provide a meaningful report out to the leadership at that high school we audited. And we're maintaining communication with them and talking about what they plan to implement. So it was all very exciting. We were able to wrap that up using the same kind of technology we're using now, where our students would meet synchronously, which really was key. I tried some other things in some of my other classes, of course, some interactive discussions, and discussion boards. The way I found to make them exciting is to sometimes make them competitive a little bit, you know
Yes, for sure.
maybe having students try their best to be voted as the best, perhaps for the activity. um, I also, had some mishaps. Students were honest with me. They reported out that if I would create videos that were longer than 10 minutes, forget it. It's hard to take a lot of technical information in
Wow.
in long durations. I get
Mhm.
it. Um,
Well, that's great feedback, right?
yeah, it was great feedback, and the really strongest message they gave me is, Jenny, don't just put a bunch of material in my lap and expect me to do it. I need synchronous meetings with my classmates. So having that peer um, support was was still very important, even though it was done through more web chats and virtual interaction.
That sounds so great. And it's wonderful to hear that the students are so engaged and that they want to interact with their peers, that they're not taking this time like, oh, I'm just going to be at home and do my thing, do my homework, do my projects on my own and, maybe get on TV or play some video games. They're really wanting, it sounds like, to continue the work that you've been doing prior to the pandemic. But, I can just remember as a student that hands-on learning is just what really keeps the students engaged, as you mentioned. So that sounds wonderful.
That's right.
Jenny, thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah,
yes, go
I
ahead,
was just
please.
gonna say a little stress is helpful too. They knew they had a client to report out to, and I've recognized over the last few years that having those service learning projects gives them that experience. I mean, you really have to be a good communicator and have that pressure to motivate you to do a good job.
Tell me a little bit about the service learning projects.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so lately, or in the past few years, we've just been doing, I shouldn't say just, I can say that because I've been doing energy audits for so many years, but for my students, it's really a valuable first experience to conduct lighting energy audits as probably their first exposure to real life clients, as well as full comprehensive energy audits as sort of the capstone to their 2-year associate's degree. And we have really great relationships with the Native American tribes around us, so Oneida Nation and Menominee Nation, and they have really been excited to have us come into a lot of their businesses. So students have seen a variety of businesses, from schools to print shops, and we've been able to provide the energy saving, advice for those businesses that they can implement. So students have to collect data during those service learning projects. They have to communicate directly with the facility and business operators at these places of business. So again, it really gives them that real life experience and that motivation to do a great job, because this isn't just a class exercise. It's a service we're providing.
It is a service. And as you mentioned, having that real world experience is just going to get them even more ready for the workforce. Jenny, thank you so much for just this beginning part. I'm so excited to get into these next questions that we have for you. But just as an overview, we discussed what energy management means, your definition. It was along the lines of regularly paying attention to the saving of energy for enterprises. I love that definition, so succinct. And also, we talked about this program being a 2-year degree program and how currently you all are adapting to this pandemic time where you still have your relationship with the high schools. You all are doing the service learning projects. You're using the virtual technology. And as we discussed, having that real important peer support and having regular meetings with the students. This all sounds like you're really busy, packed, but it sounds like a lot of fun and you're up for the challenge. So Jenny, any last words before we take a quick break?
Last words on all of that. Yeah, I guess I have a class to teach in a little bit. So you're right. It is a lot of work, and it's totally worth it. It is so rewarding to see my students, pursue and attain a really successful and rewarding career.
That's great. All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Jenny Brinker. All right, we are back with Jenny Brinker, and I love the definition that you gave about energy management. You said energy management is regularly paying attention to how energy is used. I want to dive a little bit deeper and discuss what the careers are that are available in this energy management field.
Okay, thanks for asking. Yeah, it's so important to set our students up for a successful career. Locally, we have a pretty good saturation of HVAC mechanical contractors. So many of my students end up working in the HVAC industry in terms of, determining fuel opportunities, and also, of course, with HVAC controls, which we know is just growing incredibly. As you're with the Association of Controls Professionals, you know that very well. Other students have gone on to work with equipment sales that definitely feed into those controls. So things like variable speed drives, designing lighting programs. There's a lot of sales opportunities in energy efficiency controls. And of course, another job opportunity is to be what I was for a long time, and that was an energy auditor, an energy manager. And that type of work involves, working with utility energy conservation programs and providing a lot of energy saving advice to private businesses. And even you can get hired with, we have local grocery chains and industries that hire a sustainability manager. And this degree really sets up students to be successful in that role as well.
Sounds like Northeast Wisconsin Technical College has great relationships with these employers. I'd love to dive a little deeper and discuss how your program Well, what does your program do to connect the students? Like, what does that process look like to go from your classroom of instruction to actually becoming an employee of one of these partners?
Yeah, that's so important. So first of all, I mean, credit to where our program goes and the classes we teach is given to our advisory committee, which is made up of about a dozen local professionals in those industries we just talked about. And besides that, of course, we want to connect our students with that advisory committee. So they're invited to those meetings when the advisory board is on campus. And then more direct to connecting them with jobs, our college holds a job fair every spring, and we make sure that we have controls and HVAC businesses present, as well as energy management companies. And besides that, I teach a class where we talk about green jobs. So I bring in a green job speaker panel, and I'll invite people from outside of that class just to see the job speaker panel. And it usually is a mix of alumni and people I know from the industry. And that's been really, really fun the last couple of times we did that. And then students say they learn the most about jobs by attending the conferences that we try to attend each year. And last spring, for example, we attended one, the Better Business, Better Buildings conference, where students, connect directly with vendors and people from maybe a bigger region than they would with the speakers and job fair locally. Lastly, I'll just say that we require a resume and cover letter. That's a graded assignment. And I mean, I've also kind of tacked on how important a LinkedIn profile is. So when students leave here, they should have not only the skills to work in the industry, but these materials they'll need in order to jump that hurdle of getting the job.
I love that you mentioned LinkedIn because especially now, that's such an important tool right now. That is our resume. That is our digital presentation of ourselves. And, that's important to keep that updated and connect with those who are in the industry. And it's so much easier now. Yes, you have to subscribe. Yes, you have to pay, but it's an investment in your career path. So that's wonderful.
Let's be
I
friends on LinkedIn, Candace. Let's connect.
We have to. Let's connect. I'm going to connect with you after this on the ACP one and my personal one. So we'll have two connections. And I love it. We're talking a lot about, your students, your classroom. But I mean, your students first were high school students. And it's so, to talk about that career pathway that extends back, and I would love to know from your perspective, what steps do you think and suggest that high school students take in order to prepare themselves for a career in, I would say, green energy? I heard you say that a lot of times, green energy.
Yeah, I like that term. It's kind of maybe more of what I'm motivated with is saving energy to help save resources and make things a little greener, so to speak. But if you are a high school student or a young person out there interested in the career in this field, I say pay attention. Pay attention to how buildings use energy. Ask people who are operating those things that are using energy, what's going on. And then as far as academic preparation, most high schools offer some kind of environmental science or sustainability type of class. So I would encourage you to take classes related to renewable energy and sustainability. And in our local area, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Northeast Wisconsin, high schools offer transferable credit classes, which I understand are available around the country, and transferable credits that you can take related not only to renewable energy, but also to electromechanical skills, AC, DC basic electricity classes, as well as if you can take classes in computer networking communication. Those will all be very good strengths to perhaps even get you an internship or something right out of high school while you pursue further education, whether that be a technical degree. There are several technical degrees out there that are related to energy management and renewable energy. And then, of course, also four-year college degrees related to engineering and sustainability.
That was very thorough. And I'm wondering, once these students then transfer, let's say, into your class, we have high school seniors, now they are here at Northeast Wisconsin Technical College, and they are ready for this energy management course. What other skills do they learn other than the technical skills that we described? I kind of want to go more also into the soft skills. What are some of these skills that they learn in your class?
Yeah, that is so important, isn't it?
Yeah,
So communication is key. So students working directly with, I make them do projects that involve talking with people, looking at their own house, asking people how they use energy around the house, and also maybe where they work. I ask students to kind of look around where they work and how energy is used there, if appropriate, of course. And so I like to say that, the communication is key. Now, how do we assess those? Well, our whole college, because we've heard from employers that soft skills are so important, our whole college makes sure to assess what we call employability skills. So not only communication, but effort, timeliness, attitude. Attitude is everything. And we make sure in every class that we are bringing these up. They're in the syllabus as skills, and probably some of the most important skills to land a successful life and career, right? So
exactly.
yeah, I hope that helps to answer the question.
Very much so. And you said attitude is everything. Attitude is everything. My goodness. Oh, yes. And I think that's great too. Going back to what you mentioned previously about the peer support, especially during this time, having those um, regularly scheduled meetings where they're able to do that communication and not just talking to themselves at home. That's so important, right?
It
So
is.
important.
And we get to meet each other's pets now, which, that's another level of communication, which is
Oh,
good to
another
practice.
level. Oh, that's great. I love that. Yeah, that if you can communicate to your pet effectively, if you can train your pet, oh, you'll have no problem in energy management.
Good primer.
Oh, Jenny, it's such a joy speaking with you. We're going to take another break, but I want to go over some of the things, some of the main points that we discussed. When we discussed some of the careers that were available in energy management, you were saying that HVAC, mechanical contractors, equipment sales, and energy efficiency controls, energy auditors, and managers. These are all areas of career paths that our students can take who are listening. And we also talked about the steps that your program takes in order to connect the students to the employers. And what that looks like is your university connects students to the advisory committee, to the energy management program that you all have. You all conduct job fairs. You bring in green job speaker panel, which would look like some of the people that have been through your class already, or just some people in the industry that you know. And you also encourage the students to attend conferences, and you connect them directly with vendors out at those conferences. And that's similar to what we do at a Step in STEM as well. At our events, we'll bring in local industry vendors, and they'll be able to speak with these employers. So that one-to-one, that in-person connection and engagement is so important. So it's great to hear that you guys are doing that as well. And then also, this is so awesome. You guys require that resume and cover letter for a grade. You require the students to actually draft that up and really get graded on it, and that's important. And then we discuss LinkedIn. Also, these skills that these students acquire from learning energy management. We said communication is key and your attitude is everything. It's everything. So that's great. These employability skills that are really mandatory within this class, really emphasizing these soft skills that these employers are looking for. This is awesome. It sounds like you guys got it going on. We're going to take a quick break, Jenny, and we'll be right back. So we're back with Jenny Brinker, who is the energy management instructor for Northeast Wisconsin Technical College. Jenny, we have had wonderful discussions about, what energy management is and what are the skills that your students learn and what are some of the fields and some of the topics that the students learn as well. It sounds like your class is just amazing. It's exciting. And we talked about how this is a 2-year degree program. I mean, as a student, I don't know why we would not want to go. Why do we want to go to school for more than 2 years? You would think that in and of itself is a selling point, hands down. I'm going to get my degree and and really have this amazing transferable skill and move on with my life. But I'm wondering, why do you think it's difficult to get more students interested in studying a STEM field at a technical college?
Yeah, it has been a challenge. And I think, for a long time, not a lot of um, our elders had 4-year or master's degrees. So it was kind of like the thing to try to achieve for a long time. And I still find those degrees to be very valuable. But like you said, you can go through a technical college degree and find a STEM career very quickly. Now, why don't students maybe know as much about those STEM opportunities and technical degrees is a great question. And we're always trying to solve that puzzle. I feel like STEM careers, the people working in technology and like building controls or energy management are sort of like the wizard behind the curtain, like in Wizard of Oz,
Very
right?
much so.
Like we love the magic and all the excitement that these things make for us and make our lives easier, but we may not feel like those types of careers are accessible without being exposed to them and understanding them. So exposure to these careers behind the curtain, so to speak, is key. So having students maybe practice those career exercises in high school, assessing real life data, looking at energy users around the building, maybe doing some programming in high school, makes those careers more accessible and not so magical or behind the curtain. If they can see it's not as crazy as it might seem without being exposed to it.
And that it already relates to what you're doing. It's not just this long shot of I'm learning something that has nothing related to my life. No, open your eyes and everything is there. Everything is going to be related to what you're currently doing. So I love that you said that. That's so important to really connect those dots for students and help them to understand the ease actually from your everyday to learning this specialized field. I love that. And I'm wondering too, we talked about the overarching difficulties in getting students interested in these STEM careers or bringing awareness to these STEM careers at these technical and community colleges. Now, what challenges are these sort of the same challenges that you see with just getting students interested in your energy management program?
Yes, the title, it seems to be an enigma. I always joke that maybe adults don't know what energy management is until they've paid their own utility bill. Um,
That's true.
So many people don't understand what energy management means. And, the program appeals really to those who, are seeking careers to do with technology and mechanical equipment. I've had people come from that angle. Yes, I want to work in that field and really help people save money. And then, of course, I also find students coming from the same direction I did, where you have more of a passion for saving carbon emissions, helping things become more green. Those folks, they have to really understand that energy and fossil fuels are something we can work on and find careers in to help save carbon. So making that connection to from green energy and environmentalism to energy management isn't always apparent. That's why I really recommend those high school classes in renewable energy and other technology, because it helps make, the definition of energy management make more sense before they pay a utility bill.
Before you pay a utility bill. That's so true. You don't know until it affects your pockets.
Right.
So I love that. I love that. I want to know, how do we as educators, instructors, as our STEM champions, our technical and community colleges, how do we overcome those challenges in regards to recruitment?
Well, what has been somewhat successful, I mean, every one of these seems to have some challenges, starts and spurts, but what has been successful for us are transferable credit programs. So we offer a renewable energy and sustainability class that is taught in a few local high schools. So students are exposed and get credits towards our degrees in energy management and solar energy technology right away. And also, besides transferable credits, we have presence at industry related events. So we set up our technical college booth at various events and attend them. Last year, I really started to try to get our students involved in community action. So maybe they get some word of mouth buzz. So for example, we did an energy benchmarking project with the city of Green Bay to help them see how close they were to achieving potential switching to net zero energy for some buildings. So again, just getting our students, they actually got some news press from working with the city. So I'm hoping that type of marketing and really word of mouth, along with attending the events and transferable credits, will help us continue to build the number of students in these programs.
Jenny, as an overview of the items that we discussed, the challenges that we have in recruiting students and bringing awareness to the students about the STEM opportunities, the STEM careers at a technical college, is that for a while, I love that you mentioned this, for a long time, it seemed that our ancestors and our family members attaining a 4-year degree was the thing to achieve. And so that was sort of the focus for a while. And then also understanding that these STEM careers are not just the wizard behind the curtain, as you mentioned in Wizard of Oz, that they are attainable, that they are related to our everyday lives, and really just connecting those dots for students will help to bring awareness and help them to want to ask those questions, to learn more and how it'll relate to their personal career paths. And then also we discussed how many people for your particular course and energy management just have no idea really truly what that means. As you said, they won't know until they pay for their energy bill. And then that's when they'll start to ask questions. And then lastly, the third part is that how we overcome these things. You all are working hard to overcome these challenges, in that you all have the transferable credit programs, which really brings exposure to the younger audiences, to the high school students. And then you all have presence at industry related events. That is always wonderful, setting up your booth and really having that marketing available for your college. And then these community projects, word of mouth is so awesome. We can't forget about word of mouth. That is powerful, just to see the community and see these students working on a project and excited about it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Thank you so much, Jenny. Do you have any other comments before we cut to a quick break?
I just want to say thank you. And you're doing a great job. This has been my first podcast, and it's been a pleasant experience.
Oh my goodness, Jenny, this is awesome. You'll be invited to many more podcasts in your future. I think Jenny Brinker, podcaster. I think that's coming up very soon. Thanks so much. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. You guys, I'm still here with Jenny Brinker. So excited that we have had an excellent podcast. And as she mentioned, this is her first time doing a podcast. Jenny, I cannot believe this is your first time. You're so great at this.
Thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome. We discussed so many things involving the energy management program there at Northeast Wisconsin Technical College. We talked about what the students will receive. We discussed the soft skills and how important that is to employers and for students to practice that within this program. We also talked about some of the challenges there are in recruiting students for the program. What I'd love to discuss in this final section of our interview are the resources. We'll talk about resources for what we like to call our STEM champions, which includes the educators, the teachers, anyone who's on fire for STEM and wants to promote that to their students. And then we'll talk about resources for the students. So here we go. I'd love for you to tell us, what resources have you used to improve your curriculum and teaching during this pandemic?
All right. Well, there has been a lot, and I would have to say a lot of what I have learned is from the best teachers around. So I am still friends with a couple of really great high school teachers that I have leaned on. And honestly, through those connections, I've been exposed to larger networks and organizations. So let me just list a few. The first one that I was exposed to is called the K through 12 Energy Education Program, and it's abbreviated as KEEP. And that program offers free curriculum and also some workshops if you'd like to pay and take some workshops related to teaching just the basics about energy education and basics of building energy auditing. And then through meeting some other teachers in that network and also through the college, I was exposed to some very nice National Science Foundation funded centers and organizations. The first of them, which has really boosted my knowledge and ability to teach in energy controls, is the BEST network, which is an acronym that stands for Building Energy for a Sustainable Tomorrow. And that network holds workshops when we can get together. I'm looking forward to their next workshop when we can get together, and gives the attendees real life automation skills and programming skills that I have taken directly back to my classroom. Plus, a lot of the instructors that are a part of that network, I maintain communication with, and we share and ask questions of one another to help each other out. So that BEST network has been a huge asset. And then, hello, all my best friends. I just want to say that. I also want to say hello to my friends at the CREATE Center, which is another National Science Foundation center. The NSF really is a phenomenal resource pool to search. So I recommend that for any teacher. But the CREATE network is all about renewable energy technology, and that if you're in a jam right now and you need lessons on energy and renewable energy, you can go right to their website and download curriculum, very comprehensive lessons that are available through the CREATE Center as well. So really meeting a lot of people through those networks has been a huge support to me. So I appreciate all of those organizations and their help. I'm glad they're there.
Yes, and that was such a wonderful list for our listeners, for our teachers, for our educators who want to join those networks. I definitely encourage you, as Jenny has mentioned, to visit these sites. As you mentioned, the Best Center, the National Science Foundation are some of our partners, and you're absolutely right. The resources that they have, that network, the opportunities there for educators, as you said, to promote and increase and improve curriculum and teaching styles, that's where you want to go. So thank you for sharing those. And let's not forget about our students, right? What resources and opportunities does your college in particular offer students? And if it's not at your college, you can even give us some information for outside resources.
Well, we have been excited. You know, we're part of the energy transition as technical college and teaching those skills. And there have been some exciting programs through the Department of Energy and also through the National Science Foundation again. So locally, we have this program called the Wisconsin Solar Corps. So it's offering paid internships or tuition reimbursement for students who participate in that program. We also are able to offer students a meter scholarship. It's the last year of that program. It ends in spring, but it has been able to pay for much of the tuition to students who well, they have to qualify academically and financially, but if they take the initiative to be involved in school and also join a professional organization and be involved with their future profession, they are funded to cover most of their tuition with that scholarship. So there's those opportunities. And And I feel like there will be more right around the corner, because again, we are focusing more on reducing carbon emissions, transitioning to more battery storage and using renewable energy, and buildings that save energy and don't use as much are all part of that. So I feel like there will be more funding opportunities for students right around the corner.
Or maybe I should just ask you, what changes have you seen with these resources available? What changes have you seen from before the pandemic started to now? You know, are students utilizing these resources? Is that something that you now require students sort of on their in between time, in between their meetings? Is that something that you'll incorporate and say, all right, so now we'll look at this website and learn more about these career opportunities, et cetera? Or is that something more that the students and educators that you know of do more on their personal time?
Okay, I think I know what you're trying to get at. Like, how has the industry
Yeah.
kind of changed, and how has that transition from school to work maybe kind of
Mhm.
changed with the pandemic? And hey, we all know that with this pandemic, things are changing week to week, month to month. And we're all learning that working from home, podcasting from home or school can work. So I feel, as far as, you know, some changes we've seen, is that a remote work is possible. There's a lot of buzz about, you know, sending kits home to students, having them videotape their skills and then sending it back. So we're trying more of those activities. Virtual tours, I've created 360-degree images of our school building so that when we are using Zoom as a web chat, we can pull up that virtual tour and talk about the building, because we learn from our building, of course. Um, so I think that we're all just learning how to use the technologies that we have better. You know, from the student perspective, I can tell you that our enrollment as a college is down just a little bit. I talked to some students who said they were kind of postponing some of their education until hopefully this pandemic calms down a bit. But then on the flip side, in our energy programs, we still have the typical enrollments. I always want more, but the enrollment has stayed about the same, and students are very motivated. You know, we have masks. I don't have mine on, but we are learning through social distancing and wearing masks on campus. And students have said, you know, we're happy that the school is open and allowing us to do this, because I want my education. I don't want the school to shut down, and they understand the value of having the ability to come to school, get their hands-on skills, and be supported by their peers physically present. So yeah, I think just to kind of sum up what I said, there's a lot of, thank goodness for technology. We have a lot of ability to still teach our students, and the students are motivated to use it because they want to be productive in this world.
You answered the question perfectly. I was absolutely stuck, and then blooms this amazing response to whatever I was trying to ask. And that relates to the resources, right? You know, we talked about the teachers having resources available, the ones that you use, the K through 12 energy education program, that the shorter version, the shorter term is KEY, and then the National Science Foundation funded centers and organizations. So NSF has different programs that are really attainable and really great resources for educators to use, one being the Best Center. And you mentioned the workshops there. And yes, we cannot wait to host some more workshops, co-host more workshops with the Best Center once we're all able to get back together again. But, you know, we have Zoom, as you mentioned, and we'll be able to do virtual webinar workshops. And then the Create Center, where that involves the educators learning about renewable energy technology, sort of the introduction to that. That's great. And then students having the resources, going to the Department of Energy website, and again, the National Science Foundation website. And I love that you mentioned the Wisconsin Solar Core and, you know, all the other opportunities that students have to receive funding although some may be ending, as you mentioned, there are definitely others that will be on the rise as this is a growing industry. And then the resource, I think it's cool that you taped the 360 virtual recording of your building. That's such a great resource and tool that I can see other teachers also adapting and doing and incorporating in their Zoom uh, student classrooms. So that is awesome.
Yes,
Jenny, this
the
can
platform for that's called H5P. If they're looking for that. Yeah,
H5P.
you can get this free virtual tour. They have all kinds of modalities on H5P. Don't ask me what it stands for, but if you'd like to create a quick virtual tour, check out that platform. It's free to use.
I think I'm going to check out that platform because we also are doing virtual lab tours. And, you know, I've learned a resource. Thank you, Jenny, for that little tip.
Great.
This has been such a pleasure. As I said, Jenny, we can't wait to have you back. This has been wonderful information that you've given us. Thank you so much. Enjoy your classes. Keep up the great work in teaching your students virtually. And don't work too hard, but definitely bring your pet to class. And again, Jenny, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Candace. Nice to chat with you today.
Nice to chat with you. See you later.
See ya.